Okay, I call this Hildebran Town Council meeting to order. I thank everyone for being here. We will start, as we always do, with a moment of silence. Thank you. Derek, would you lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. Everybody please stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, review your agenda and make a motion whenever you're ready.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
All right, we're doing roll call.
Bob, yes.
Terry, yes.
Derek, yes.
No Ben? Okay, well, we do have a quorum though, right? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
All right. All right, so that passed. Next is the approval of the minutes. Look over those and make a motion whenever you're ready.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from September 28th, 2020.
Okay, roll call.
Bob, yes.
Terry, yes.
Derek, yes.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comments? Okay, no public comments. We'll skip on down to 6, old business. 6A, consider approval of policy for renting the municipal complex parking lot. And that is in your packet. I hope you've had a chance to look over it. I had one comment about it. I think this started with the church wanting to hand out trick-or-treat candy. And I just felt like that was a little much to charge them for someone who's given to the community, given to the kids of the community. Because that would be $300. Well, I could go a long way buying candy.
Yes, and that's one of the things is trying to distinguish charging folks who are doing more of a community event versus like a for-profit or using it for like we've had people request using it for like a revival place. So it would be nice to be able to distinguish. The other idea is you don't want to give it away for free because then you are going to have everyone using it. But if there was a way, and Brandon, you've got an idea on this, to differentiate, more of a community event versus, for example, like the cruise-ins. We don't charge them to do cruise-ins, HHDA. But yeah, if it's an event that's open to the community, I don't see a problem with it. It's just how do you justify charging one and not the other? Is the only thing I was looking at.
And I agree. I don't know how to draw the line. We will look to the council for that. If it's public purpose, that's one thing. And then it depends on we talk about how you're going to define public purpose. I'm not sure what I may think is public purpose and what y'all may think also is different. I don't want to do anything to promote. We're not going to do it to make money. We're not doing it to make money. And I agree with the children and stuff like that. On the other hand, we want to be sure that everybody hears a certain rules and we don't have expense cleaned up and all that kind of stuff. The deposit for cleanup and all that kind of stuff, if they can't behind them, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to have to do it on a case-by-case basis and leaving the sound judgment of staff to determine whether or not something like that would be appropriate for what we think that would be used for municipal purposes.
So we need to come up, so my thing is we need to come up with a number for the trick or treat or trunk or treat. So my question is, if it's not conflict of interest, can somebody donate that money or time back or something? Because I think what you're saying with the kids and COVID, if we got a group that's willing to do something for the kids and somebody can step up and pay for it, i.e. me or somebody else, let's make sure we can do that for the kids.
Derek, if you wanna make a contribution to that, I'm sure we would all be in favor.
Well, and does the amount of $100 seem excessive to
I'm
anyone?
paying for it.
Well, I mean, we could look to lower that amount.
Just kidding.
I just thought $300 is a lot.
Well, and the way we looked at it is because it would, and again, doesn't make it any cheaper, but the way we looked at it was if you're gonna occupy the gym, parking, the
Sure.
community center, and the auditorium, those 3 units alone, if they were all rented, would be $120 per hour. So we went down to 100, but if that still seems excessive, we could look at lowering it.
Well, we wouldn't have it if any one of those were rented. We couldn't rent the parking lot.
Right.
And my thought, and this is my thought, we need to make sure that we're at least recoup our costs. Every group says they're gonna plan behind themselves, but we've had groups in the past that have not done a real great job about doing that kind of stuff. And we don't yet have a full-time maintenance person, and even if we did, I think if you let somebody use it for next to nothing or nothing, you need to make sure you don't go backwards. And with kids and Halloween and candy and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna have some litter and trash to get picked up.
Well, we can pay the deposit, certainly.
I think they've already decided to join with another group somewhere. I can't remember if it was the library or somebody else, but
Library's doing theirs on the 28th.
yeah, Wednesday. So he said they were getting with somebody else to join with them.
Here.
Yeah.
One
in
Branch
Hildebran
Worship's
somewhere.
they're gonna merge, they're gonna be with somebody else when they do this?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if they do it at the library, that's election, that's early voting.
Mhm.
It's gonna be aggravating. She's already contacted me about it, but, early voting's been great this year.
Yes. So is there any way we can work with them to have it here if that's still okay, or is that a possibility?
We could call him tomorrow.
I just wouldn't I think we're maybe speaking out, turn if I know y'all can scold me over it, but, I think we got some kids, we can have trick or treat, and we can figure out how to do it, and, let's figure out the deposit amount, and let's make sure these kids are taken care of for this event, if we can do it. If that's okay with everybody.
So I guess the understanding I have is we just need to figure out an amount. So the 3 facilities, we have the gym, the community center, and the auditorium. And of the 3, the most expensive to rent individually is probably what, the auditorium? By hour?
Yeah.
And it's what, 40?
I think it's 40, yeah.
No, I think the most expensive one's 50 because one of them's 50, one's 40, and one's 30. So the most expensive one is 50. I just can't remember which exact one.
Well, I mean, to Wendell's point, if one of those was rented out, you wouldn't be able to do the parking lot. So I say we just rent it out for whatever the same cost is for whatever the most expensive. So I say $50 an hour, and that sounds reasonable.
I'll go along, okay.
I mean,
They are-
you don't have the benefit of having the heat and air that you would have indoor with the building, but then again, you have, you're blocking rent on the extra spaces. So I think that kind of,
And before it's all over and said, even though they're gonna be kids, they're gonna be out there, they're gonna be some trash left. We're gonna have to have it cleaned up.
Make sure they don't get their deposit if they don't clean up. Make them pay the deposit. Right?
oh yeah, absolutely. I think, deposit, I say $50 deposit, $50 per hour, and then we keep the deposit. And as a whole, on all the rentals, we need to be better about if people don't leave it in shape, then we keep the deposit. I know, we try to do what's right, but by the same token, it's the understanding that we do what's right. I've rented some places before, from the town, and I make sure it's spick and span. So that's not a lot to expect.
Are they talking about a trunk and treat? Cars?
It's
One of yours drive-through.
It's supposed to be drive-through.
Yes,
Yeah, bathroom with pre-packed bags, I think. But the kids want to not wait to get home. Can they do it? I would.
How they gonna monitor that though, doing a drive-through?
Hey, what night is
Kids
that?
getting out there walking through that.
Well,
That's the thing. Once we told them what the rules and expectations were, that's when they wanted to. That's when they were looking to get somewhere else.
Gary asked the question, what day is that? They're looking, did you say Tuesday?
28th is the library, that's the library.
But they initially.
They
wanted-
wanted it either the 30th or 31st. They had not picked out a date yet.
That's this week, so our,
What was the hour?
obviously.
Um,
that day.
Well, does somebody want to make a motion?
If we do want to make a motion to pass the policy, do it with the, amendment to lower the amount to 50 an hour.
I'll make the motion to approve with the, as amended, $50, deposit, $50 per hour.
Okay, I'll call for a roll call vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes.
Terry, yes.
Derek, yes.
All right, thank you. 7, new business. 7A, presentation of code enforcement report. Patrick, and please say your last name.
Tomorrow.
Demar, thank you. Patrick Demar.
Yeah, you want to go
How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Good.
It's nice to meet y'all. This is my first time here, so first time meeting quite a few of you. And so I do appreciate that. Did you have any specific questions, or do you want me to just kind of go over some of the numbers?
If you want to go over some of the things that have been presented to you in town here that need to be addressed.
Sure. So I do have a list of some of the active cases. I know some of the most important is cleaning up the tire shop. That's right there across the town hall. We have made some good progress on that, and we're supposed to meet, Hunter and I will be meeting with them, and he's gonna be building a building form to store the tires in. That will be secured in a way that will prevent any type of insect or rodent or snake pollen, anything of that nature.
Be
So-
alongside the road.
Right. And it'll also kind of clear up a lot of that room in front as well. I was also able to get in touch with Johnny Ray Williams and his group for the shops that they also had down, further down off of the main entrance into town. And we're going through getting some stuff cleared up there.
78, okay.
And we made some headway there, just in meeting with them. I'm gonna continue to meet with them on a regular basis. And then there's a few other ones that we've been hitting. I know we've been able to, so far, I think since I started, there's been 48 that we've been able to resolve cases. Some of them larger cases, some of them smaller cases. We were able to get rid of the boat finally, which I know has been a big issue. So that's something. I know the U-Haul that's sitting down also right down from the tire shop, right across from the diner. We should be getting rid of that soon. They're gonna be towing it to another property that's outside of town. So that'll be a good thing there also. Just trying to clean up some of those entryways kind of as a focus. And I think currently right now, I have close to 44 active cases of all different levels.
All here in town?
Right, that includes harass, abandoned vehicles, other different issues of nuisance, and then minimum housing, non-residential minimum structures. So there's a wide variety that we're dealing with. And I think that you'll have the latest copy of the report. I changed how I was doing the report so that you could see kind of the whole year in review as well. So you can see where we're at, but also where we've come from. So it'll allow you to see a lot of that detail in there. And there's actually, there was an issue, I think, with the app. So there's 2 cases that have been resolved that aren't reflected. And I still have to go through and figure out what those were. But they didn't show up in these numbers, but I have them in my address count because I have a copy of all of the addresses where the resolutions were taking place. So there will be 2 more added to that. I'm just not exactly sure. I was looking at it today and I'm like, where did they go? It's been something that we've kind of had a little bit of a struggle with sometimes. I think it was just a hiccup between our app and the platform that it's run So they usually get those resolved pretty quick, and then I'll recover all of that data for them.
I like that we're resolving more than we're getting new ones in, that's good. You mentioned the tire shop, so I got a couple of questions about the tire shop in particular. So when you're talking about this building that's gonna be built to store the tires, is that going to address when you're talking about like the snakes and rodents and all that kind of stuff? I also noticed they have a lot of wood piled up. I guess they have some type of wood burning stove or something in there. Is that gonna address that as well?
It is. There is some that they were chopping, they were leaving it out to dry. I've spoken with a couple of times, and if that's something that doesn't get resolved, then I'll issue a notice violation directly on that. They have been cleaning up quite a little bit of it and stacking it appropriately. And the firewood, as long as it's stacked appropriately, there's no issue, but it's when they leave it in a jumbled pile that it allows for the opportunity for nesting for rats, snakes, of that nature.
And then the second part of that is also going to address the 2 tractor trailers that are also on 70 right across the street from it.
The 2 tractor trailers that are across that little side street is something that's gonna have to be, I think, addressed most likely through zoning first. The tractor trailers are in operable condition. The original property owner, when I spoke with them, said that they were years and years past given permission to put the trailers there. And so we're gonna be doing some more research on that, seeing if they could provide any documentation, if they have documentation, or if it was just kind of like a word of mouth type of approval.
I'll mention on that is, and I don't know who was on council, but I think in 2010, in the last 10 years, we passed an ordinance that does not allow tractor trailers as an accessory structure. With that being said, if those 2 structures or trucks, you want to call them, were existing prior to that ordinance being adopted, they are then quote unquote grandfathered. So that's where we got to figure out, pinpoint, and we can look at aerials from GIS and see how long they've been there. That's kind of what we had to do with the U-Hauls and stuff. But I mean, that the first step would be try to hit them from zoning and potentially from nuisance and other.
The other idea too is those are within the right of way. From what I understand, so if they're in DOT's right of way, we can get DOT to look at it and get with them to remove it.
Well, I'm sure with the railroad being there, between DOT and railway, I mean,
There's not much right there.
how can anything be in between the highway and the interstate that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's currently being used as storage for the heavy.
What those trailers were.
More.
But I will mention, at any time, if those trailers move, and then let's say they put them back, that then would waive them. Anytime a structure moves, they're losing their non-conformity kind of umbrella. So I mean, and I'm only, I'm not here so often, but if you guys ever see it move, snap a picture, because then they don't have a permit to place it back, and they wouldn't be able to be issued one.
Right, and I do believe, which is one of the things that has somewhat complicated some of how we would address some of the issues, is that in 2018, the state of North Carolina did pass laws that would limit the distance. If it's been there for so many years beforehand and nothing was ever done about it, that it does kind of grandfather it in, or it says, well, you just have to accept it because you've approved it for so long. And that's some of the difficulty that we're having. For example, with the U-Haul, through satellite mapping, when we could trace it back, it's well over 20 years that it's been there, which makes it difficult to then say, well, now you got to follow the rules and follow the law. And it's like, well, it's been there for 20 years. And with the law that the state of North Carolina passed, and I can forward the links to it so that you'll have a copy of that, it does limit what we can do as enforcement. And some of it is just working with the person to try and gain compliance when you don't have the ability to mandate compliance. And that's where, that becomes on my responsibility to try and work with people on it, which is what I've been doing with them and kind of addressing working times. And, we had talked at one point, I think we were going to try and do a citation, but because of the change of the law, we won't be able to enforce the citation. So, I've gone back to them and spoke with them, and we're trying to get it moved that way. And that addresses unfortunately, quite a few different things. It may address some of the issues with those 2 tractor trailers from the municipality being able to do something. Now, again, if it's in the right of way, then that comes on the DOT, and that's a totally different scenario than what that North Carolina law would apply.
I will also kind of add on to that is that through some of these cases I've been helping with Patrick is that I've been trying to look back through potential violation letters and see if there was ever a case or any type of stuff issued, or once again, maybe started an open case file where it might give us a little leeway to address some of these. However, through my digital files, the 2 that we've looked at, I haven't went through all the physical files at town hall. So with that being said, I mean, you know, for the most part, the planner's done the code enforcement prior, and I have all the planning digital files since you guys have been contracting with the COG. But I don't know if that's something Tom or previous, you know, staff did, or if even previous COG staff did, and maybe on a town computer, or, you know, so if we can maybe locate physical files, that could also help in further abatement. It's just kind of sitting down and actually going through all those physical files as well and seeing if we can find anything. Yeah, it's not pretty.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you.
No problem. I appreciate the opportunity again to come and spend some time with you. And again, I'm very open if anyone has any questions at any time to reach me.
Good job getting hold of
Appreciate
it.
that.
As far as
Appreciate
the
that.
cuts,
Thank you. Good job.
along these fences along the roads, is that part of what you?
It's something that we can try and work with people on. Unfortunately, kudzu in the state of North Carolina is not.
I'm just saying what's grown up over the fences, it's getting out of hand.
There are some things that we can and some things that we can't. We're trying to figure out where that line is. Depending on the nature of the properties, the type of issue that it is, how high it's climbing, things of that nature.
One time it was wrapped around the power poles, the lines going across the road. So that's the reason I'm asking the question. It really looks.
Yeah, if it's up, if it creates a safety hazard where it's up on power lines, things of that nature, then that's something that we can address. If it's on like a chain link fence, it's something that we can try and address. But from what I've seen, doing some research for not only here for some cases, but for some of the other municipalities, is that other places in New York, North Carolina, where it's gone to court, they kind of ruled against it, saying, well, it's on their fence, it's a metal fence. You know, it's not harming the fence type of situation. And that, you know, there are some places that they kind of akin it to almost like a hedge. You know, you have a hedge around a property that prevents, you know, anyone from seeing it, or it gives privacy. Allowing the vines to grow on a fence, again, can be construed as almost like an artificial hedge, which is what I've seen in some of the cases. And again, that sometimes makes it a little tricky to kind of play around, because I don't want us to get into a situation where we're attempting to enforce something and putting a lot of time, effort, and possibly town funds into it if it's not something that's going to be sustainable and is going to come back on the town. I'd rather us be able to focus our resources on what we can address. And then, you know, as far as my time goes, I have no problem talking with people and trying to kind of gain their compliance in some respects in that regard in the situations where we can't enforce compliance. So, and I think we've been successful in quite a few of those, where it's just, you know, I think there's also an advantage. I know at times with some people there can be, I found both a few cases here in Hildebran and some in others, where there's almost like this perceived feuding between the town and the person, whether it's legitified or in their own minds, because there are some people that just like, the town's out to get me, the town's out to get me, because they just have that mindset. By not being directly on the town payroll, it allows me to come and say, well, listen, I don't work for the town. You know, I work to assist the town, but I also work to assist you, and I'm here to work hand in hand so we can kind of bring it together and act more as like a bridge or a buffer between the town and the individual. And sometimes through that, you can kind of, you know, take that negative part out of the equation and then just work on the issue itself. So that's what we continue to try and do on a few of them.
You're more of a politician.
Sometimes.
Well, thank you very much.
I think pretty good job.
All right, I appreciate it and look forward to meeting with you anytime that you want to.
Fantastic. And this,
7B, consider approval of contract with Western Piedmont Council of Government for North Carolina General Statute 160D zoning ordinance rewrite.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, long time no see, no, I've heard it on the phone, but glad to get that impression. Gonna try to keep making this short and sweet. I do not know how many of you guys are familiar with the general statute legislation changes that's occurred in the last couple of years. Basically, the General Assembly took section 153 and 160A, which is county government and municipal government, merged it all into one, and it's 160D. With that being said, it's led to more, a couple additional definition regulations and stuff. And so the COG is going through the process, or with this contract, is going through the process of basically updating our zoning ordinance to be in compliance with 160D. It goes through basically, we're in our zoning ordinance, we reference 160A. We got to change all this to 160D. And there's kind of some updated, like I said, definitions, some processes, and additional information, and kind of just, so I'm looking for just changes overall that our ordinance has to go through to be by July 1, 2021 to be in compliance. So this contract, it's already been approved in the budget. When you guys passed the budget back in July, this was on there. So this contract will start January and run through July. Myself and Johnny Ware from the COG will be working on it with the planning board, as well as I think we'll be giving you guys updates bi-monthly. The first meeting kind of go over the 160 changes, the second meeting to go over, our first meeting is go over 160 overall, second meeting is go over the initial changes, and the final one's kind of the follow-up and final stuff. So with that being said, I'll answer any questions so that we gather everything.
Sounds complicated.
Yeah, I'm learning more and more about it, because I mean, we're doing it for multiple municipalities, and I'm now the planner up for college as well, and we're actually wrapping up our ordinance changes there, and it's harder when you have towns that have older dated kind of zoning ordinances. Luckily, ours is pretty up to date. It shouldn't be as complex as some of the other ones we've done. It generally, I mean, all the new 160 changes even impact code enforcement, how they update, and just different things like that. And it's just, yeah, the state just kind of approved it and said, hey, you guys got to be in compliance by here. And then, this was back in probably 2018, 2019. And luckily, the school government's been able to go through 160D and kind of put together some recommendations and stuff for us. But every municipality has to make these changes to comply by July 1, 2021.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
All right, we need a motion to vote.
Make the motion to approve the contract.
All right, I'll call it for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Yes.
Terry, yes. Derek, yes.
Okay, thank you. 7C, presentation of sales tax report.
Yes, this is not in your packet, but it was given to you on the side, so you should have it in front of you. It's the sales and use tax. It's a graph of what we've been through in the fourth quarter of last year and in the first month of this year. Basically, we had talked to council about during budget season about potential 10 to 20% drop in the sales tax in the fourth quarter of 1920. The good news is for us, we've actually done a little better than the state average. So the fourth quarter of last year, the state average, they were down 2%. Now that's still a lot better than the 10 to 20% drop they expected, right? But for us, the fourth quarter of last year, we actually went up by 2.95%. We were in the fourth quarter of 2019-20, we were at 140,000, bless you. 140,481. Fourth quarter of this past year, we were at 144,625. So actually increased by about 4,000. I would not take that to say, let's start spending a lot of money, buying lottery tickets, anything like that, but it is good news, right? I mean, that is encouraging to see that, one, we're doing better than the state average. Number two, we came out ahead 3% instead of behind 10 to 20. And even better news, so we also got July's. The way this works, we get it about 3 months behind. So what happens is we have to go through the month, county has to collect it, send it to the state, they have to send it back to the county, and then the county gets to distribute it to us. So in July, we received April, in August, we got May's. So in October, the most recent month, we did get July's. That was actually in 1920, 42,280. This year, it was 50,546. So that was up $8,266 or 19.6% over last year. So those are really encouraging given the fact that we thought we were going to be in the opposite direction. So it's something to monitor. Same with that, we also had our highest number of COVID cases October 25th. I think it was either the 20th or the 25th. So I would be a little cautious as to what we do with it, but given the fact that we're doing this well this early in the year, it is encouraging given what we thought we'd do. So any questions on that?
Okay, thank you. 7D, consider revision of regular meeting schedule for November 23rd, 2020 meeting.
Same as what we've been doing remote.
Same place, same time. Like that channel.
So we need a motion vote.
I'll make the motion.
All right, I'll call for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes.
Terry, yes.
And Derek, yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, 7E, HHDA Tower renovation fundraising report.
Yes, and I got those numbers before the meeting. That number is currently at 17,525, and I think we've got about 3.5 weeks for them to keep fundraising. So that's where they're currently at. Do we have any questions?
Think we're doing good.
Okay, all right, well, I will give you a report. I believe it's by the 15th, and I'll let you know where they stand on the 15th.
Okay, all right, thank you. 7F, September facilities report. It's in your packet, I believe.
We are having a constant leak in the auditorium. We've actually had roofers come out twice. We now, after two, what we perceive to be fixes, that tends to, we believe that to now be a leak, not in the roof, but in some of the AC ductwork. So that's something we're gonna have someone come out and look at, have someone come out a third time. But Bridge Worship has reported to us that every time we get rain, there's a leak in the auditorium entrance hall. But other than that, there's not any serious issues. Again, we do plan to have the door replaced out here, the front door of the municipal complex. That's in the works. The replacement and the work in the gym for both the new countertop at the concessions area as well as the barrier. Those are going to be put up. We are waiting on Moss Marlowe to get the materials delivered for the countertop before we go forward with the barrier. We also have touchless soap dispensers, touchless hand dryers that are going to be installed in the gym. That is being paid for by COVID money. We do have the air dryers ordered. We have we've actually received those. We've got the soap dispensers ordered. They're not here yet. But we've already gotten Hickory Electric agreed to come out once those get here to install them. So that should be done within the next month also. That's all I got.
Terry, you satisfied with the part?
You don't want me to go there now, just be nice, I'm being nice.
You missed, you kind of.
They know my feelings about it,
All right, I know that you stay on top of that.
absolutely. What about the cameras?
Yeah, okay, I'll get to that too, but since we did, Derek and Terry got it, so I will mention to the rest of the council. I initially talked with DOT about their long arm mowing schedule. For whatever reason, Main Avenue East was not initially on that schedule. I spoke with some people who are at the division, the regional level. Main Avenue East along our park, that 385-foot section is now on that long arm mowing schedule. That should be done sometime in the next 3 weeks, sometime by mid-November. So we're looking at that, and then, once they go through with that, kind of to see where it's at, we'll look at addressing the top part. Have you something next month for that?
Since you're talking about that, we've got the TAC and TCC meeting on Wednesday. You know, one thing that we might need to talk to them about considering for next year after this year to help with budgetary concerns is maybe they need to start baling hay on the side of the interstate since they don't ever want to mow. Or maybe they can sell that, because it's getting ridiculous this year.
It is.
It's bad all throughout the state.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something we're not getting treated worse than anybody else,
Oh,
but
of
it
course,
is,
that's right.
I do see your point.
Yeah, if they're not gonna mow it, might as well just bale it.
They're broke. But they know where all the money went, so we're asking for it back.
All right. Well, let's see, 7G September tax report, and it is in your packet. 7H September deputy report, and I don't have it, Gary. It's in your packet. I want to talk to him about something.
He's
All right.
coming. He's coming.
Well, I don't know, he may not have a comment, but I just wonder what happened.
He did say he wanted to go over it.
Oh, okay, good. Okay,
We are good.
we're up to you.
You got the
Oh,
floor.
okay. The one, item that, won't be on there, that occurred this month, that I'm gonna get with Linda and discuss that later. The first one's B&B. Had larceny of fuel there, 109 Main Avenue West, 109 First Avenue Northeast D&E, that was the storage units. 109 Loans Warrant Service, Elsa Childers Street Warrant Service. That was actually a criminal summons. The warrant was out of McDowell County. Fraud at 208 US Highway 70 East. That was the property down here, the guy at the bottom trailer. He had something stolen from him up at the fast track. Traffic stop on Wilson Road, warrant service at 8807. Missing person, that's our usual once or twice a month missing person, the 16-year-old.
Same as the person each time.
Correct. Palmview Apartments, I didn't get that. With the exception of loans, that's the only time we go down there anymore. If someone comes in that's out of town and they're not aware of it. But we have probably more calls at Palmview Apartments now than we do on Motorsport. So with the exception of some car break-ins, it was a good month. And you can see we didn't have that 11 reportable incidents. Now, we may have had 160 some calls, but we only had 11 reportable incidents.
When was the last time you done a traffic stop, Gary?
Last time I done traffic stop last week.
Well, I'm just saying, I haven't seen it all year in a while.
Yeah, well, and the only thing different is 45 miles per hour out in certain areas within the town limits, but it is 35 on Main Avenue East. I would like to see us go 35 throughout the town, or throughout city limits, but I know that won't happen, but especially on Wilson Road, where it's 45 miles an hour. That's bad.
It's not 70.
Wilson Road is 45.
Hey, 35 of them have to eat. They're
I
not
thought it
70
was, I thought it was 65.
There's 70 in
I lived
Texas.
down that road.
Oh, yeah, but,
Keep it at 45, Gary.
all in all, it's been a good month. I personally drive 35 miles an hour, so,
All right, Graham.
very simple.
Comment,
Oh,
Gary.
one other issue, I did talk with the county again about the, vehicle. Time to mess around with it. Let's, decide on what we're gonna do, put a price on it, sell it, or if you're gonna keep it, do whatever, but, it's a good car. If you wanna keep it for town use, or if you wanna sell it. So, tired of, dealing with that up there.
Council have any,
Alan, you wanna drive to the bank?
we could use the sale of the vehicle to look at if we have qualified candidates for the maintenance position, look to sell the vehicle to use those funds for lawnmower. any type of mowing equipment, pesticides, classes.
How much is it worth?
Just by looking online,
Ballpark, what are you
$4,000.
I pay for something.
It's got 98,000 miles on it, new transmission. So, drives great.
Not real comfortable with driving.
Yeah, well,
I get the-
for
we
this,
get
it's
the lights
not
and all.
comfortable.
Does it
Not
come
like
with
the new
lights?
truck is.
Do we get the lights and all that stuff go with it?
You pay for them, so you just can't use them on the car.
Oh, like. I just want to use them to get people pulled over. I can go.
But, that's something you can discuss at a later time, but, I don't really see the county. They've had plenty of opportunity in the last 6 months, Rick, years, to know that it's here if they want it, but
So what do we need to do to move that forward, I guess?
of course,
We need to approve something.
Yeah, surplus it.
yeah, there's actually a website that actually buys vehicles like that, gov.org,
Go deals.
Gov Deals. So if you got a small agency, someone like Road Hits or somebody like that that's looking for a car, it's an awesome car. Awesome car. Car's good for another 6 years. Excuse me.
Yes,
Let's just move forward with it.
let's move forward.
I mean, they've had the opportunity.
And that's why I said they've had plenty of opportunities.
I wanted to address one other thing. Terry had asked about cameras at the park. We have already ordered those parts. We've already had the person come up there, the consultant, they looked at it, they ordered it. It's coming from China, number one, so it's gonna take a minute. Number two, he had 2 or 3 other jobs lined up. So it may be November, early December before we actually get them installed, but that is in the pipeline.
I think it'd be a good thing.
Did anybody apply for the program like this job?
As of right now, we've got 2 applicants. I'm gonna hold it open because we've only got 2. I'm gonna hold it until November 1st, see what happens, see if we get any more. We actually got 1 today. So yeah, we got our second one today.
Okay. All right, 7I, committee reports, TCC and TAC.
We meet Wednesday.
Okay. Western Piedmont Council of Government Policy Board. Ken's not here. Did he send anything?
I didn't see it.
Okay. Burke Economic Development.
No updates except that, they're going through presentations. Biggest thing they're talking about is housing. They need more housing. Of course, that's all they got to do. Audit, presentation, stuff like that. So nothing major.
There is something coming this way, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've got a meeting with Alan Wood from BDI. I think it's Friday, Thursday or Friday. I'm not exactly sure what he wants to talk about, but there is something evidently important.
For housing.
Industry.
I'll look through the minutes here and see. Yes, there's several things in here that talk about things coming down the pipe or something like that. So that must be.
Okay. Is that all?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we do have, the only other thing I'll mention to you is the bad issue. We spent $58,000 with Terminex 2 years ago, year and a half ago, sometime in 2018. That issue is not resolved at all. I have been asking to get a callback since March on this. Bat season, however, you cannot mess with bats during certain times of the year, but it started in August. So that's somebody I have got. I even contacted the corporate office today. However, the Hickory office is a local franchise, so they have no control over that branch. I cannot get a call back from the wildlife division, whoever the one in Hickory used. But that's something that I'm going to stay on top of them and just want you to know about, that they are pretty bad. I think it's even the smell has gotten into the community center in the storage room to the right when you walk in. So it's yeah, so that's just something else.
That's terrible.
Can we not just go down to their office if they won't call us?
Might have to, but the problem is it's not the Hickory office that did it. It's someone the Hickory office that Terminex contracted with.
So the Hickory office is a franchise office, so corporate can't do anything, but then they even subcontract out from the subcontract?
That's what I'm being told.
It's not uncommon, I've seen this a couple times. I'm dealing with this.
Whoever you wrote the check to, they're responsible.
Well, and that's, yeah.
But I mean, at this point, I mean, there's probably not gonna be anything we can do about it. Maybe we need to seek another alternative while we pursue that. But I definitely don't want them to do the work again.
Okay.
I mean, if we spend 58 grand just lit it on fire in the parking lot, we got the same result.
Well, from what I understand, we should not have to pay for anything. They should have to come back out for free to readdress it, is what I
Well,
would.
if they're gonna come back out for free, then make them come back out and rest.
Well, then I'd be beating down the door
I would like to.
until,
I mean, in my opinion, they hoodwinked us anyway.
Okay. Well, I'll stay on that and get you.
That back one up sells $20 an ounce to organic farmers.
We can make a.
Put on the house.
Yeah.
I ain't getting it up.
No, they called it hazmat. They didn't ever clean out a barn, learn to get it up, it ain't no key. I thought if I wanted the job, they would give it to me.
Alright, I'll clean it up.
But I was kidding, the organic farmer did tell me they buy the stuff for organic farming.
Recreation and tourism,
Nothing to report.
water resource, hey, we don't have that. Vedic
I was able to attend the meeting this past week.
and the library board, we didn't have a meeting this month. All right, other business?
so I mentioned a couple times before about my disdain for the lighting at the intersection of Highway 70 and 78. Have we looked any further into that because it's still pitch black a lot of nights, especially now that it's getting dark earlier?
Okay, so I did talk with the manager. They claim they're on at all times of the night. Here's the thing. We actually have an ordinance in the town that you have to keep it lit, public parking lots throughout the entire night. So if they are going,
CVS,
CVS.
yeah, they are on timers, but sometimes they're on, sometimes they're not.
Well, if anyone at all sees those lights off at any time at night, then they're in violation of town ordinance. If we could,
They're
we
in
need proof.
violation.
Okay, if we can get maybe a picture or something that I can take them, that's, okay.
So get a picture with time and date stamp?
Basically. If they're, yeah, because if they're in violation in the middle of the night, if they don't have the lights on, they're in violation. Or the town ordinance.
In violation constitutes what?
$50 fines every time they're called doing it. Or 30 days.
So you're,
I know where I'm going at 9:30 every single night.
so you're depending on CVS's lighting for the lighting of the intersection.
Yes.
Well, are they the ones who, I thought it was the back parking lot.
It's the entire corner,
Okay.
the entire thing.
I would-
Their whole parking lot, when it's lit up, it lights up the whole thing. But there have been fatal accidents and very dangerous accidents at that intersection. And I mean, if we need to do something, as far as the town putting in lighting, then that's one thing. But their parking lot and everything, I mean, we can go back and look when they came in forever ago, but I mean, when it's dark, it's dark. And it's dangerous.
Well, I don't know about,
Road, that's-
yeah, I don't know about the intersection, but I do know the parking lot is under ordinance that it's gotta be lit throughout the entire night, sunrise or sunset, sunrise. That's all we can do.
that was on the fire on it.
Any other business?
Yes.
Okay.
Two things. One, HHCA did let us know they're canceling their parade. Well, I think most of the towns in Burke County outside of,
Rutherford
I
College.
think the only one who's doing it is Rutherford College. Morganton's doing a drive-by. They're setting up things throughout the town or throughout the city where people can stop by, but HHCA did let us know they, are canceling it. The other one is we've had a request from Karen Robinson. The senior center is not letting the seniors meet at the senior center to do their Tai Chi class. She is asking that the town let her use the gym for free for the seniors since they're not able to meet where they normally meet. Problem is we don't have anyone to clean or to sanitize to make sure it's not in violation of COVID. And the second thing is allowing someone to use it for free and justifying that versus any other group wanting to ask us to use it for free. I think we have opened the gym under 25 people. So technically they could meet in there for it, social distance. But again, finding that justification where you tell her yes, but tell someone else no, that's.
Is it just for a 1 hour class?
Yeah, I think they meet once a week.
once a week for 1 hour?
I don't know the exact time. I can get you that, but I don't think it's excessive.
Is all the seniors from Hildebran or different places?
I
It's
don't
East
know.
Burke County, it's
Oh,
service.
yeah, all counties, okay.
Work in.
They have been meeting at the park. The reason they're asking to meet in the gym is because it's gonna be colder in the winter months. So they wanna know that they've got a place for the next 3 to 4 months to meet. So I did see them at the park. The reason I brought it up is it was maybe 5 to 8 people. That's how many, now that could just be one particular day, but that was the number that was up there that they asked.
I feel like if we were to do it, we couldn't do it for free. I could see doing a reduced rate, more or less to offset our cost for somebody who would do it, but we, to clean and sanitize and all that. But we don't have anybody to do that, so I don't see that we can justify
Yeah.
doing it as long as we're under the COVID restrictions that we're under, as much as I would love to
I'm
be able
concerned
to do
about
it.
all the seniors, the county's closed the senior system because of health and sanitation reasons. If they want, why can't you go to a church? Church, all the churches have fellowship halls. Why, it's putting the risk on us. And I don't think that's the risk we're seeing.
So is Karen Robinson the one making the request on that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll reach out to Karen and see if there's something I can talk to her about an alternative site.
Okay, perfect. That's all I got.
Maybe they line up the CVS parking lot. Get 2 for 1. Yeah.
All right, anything else? Any announcements? We don't have Ben.
Well, one thing I will say, yeah, the interesting thing is, I think you're gonna find sales tax continuing to increase even during the pandemic. The primary reason being is we're now, for the first time in North Carolina, starting to receive sales tax from off-site sales, which is the legislature finally did this internet sales stuff, where we're getting sales tax off of that, and we're making money that we've never seen before. And as more and more people are working offline, it's increasing those sales.
Yeah, I believe that was where they changed it. Instead of the purchase, now it's the point of sale, wherever that's at, which county it occurred.
One question, you said they were, I know the Mexican restaurant up here where Frankie T's is at, right?
We had 2 potential restaurants.
I know you said something about another one, that's the reason I was,
But I wouldn't say there's anything official yet. But as soon as we do know something official, and we do have one of the businesses that is looking into the Frankie T spot, and they are also looking at, they're actually in the process right now of getting quotes to submit for the site grant. So they're probably, we've let them know they've got to have those quotes in by November 3rd. If they can get those in by November 3rd, we'll send it to the planning board, bless you. Send it to the planning board, and then it'll get council next month.
Is there a record service looking at land in here?
Not aware of.
Somebody made a motion.
I made the motion.
All right, I'll call for a vote.
Oh, yes.
Mike, yes.
Terry, yes.
Derek, yes.
Thank you very much. Good meeting.
Good meeting.
I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to try it.
Take care.
Just go ahead and shut it down, that'll be fine.